So, hello, English language A-level students. It's me again. It's Paul Heselton. I am the subject leader for English language A-level at the QE Darlington. And today's video is all about phonology. Yes, we're going to put the fun into phonology. Ouch. Do you think I got away with that? Don't know. Anyway, phonology. And we're going to start, as all good English lessons start, with a poem. So I'm going to read aloud to you the poem. And I want you to draw attention particularly to the words that are in red. And I want you to think, well, what's going on here? What seems to be the point of this poem? This is written in rhyming couplets. Are you ready? Okay, it's called Our Strange Lingo by somebody called Lord Cramer. When the English tongue we speak, why is break not rhymed with freak? Will you tell me why it's true? We say so, but likewise few. And the maker of the verse cannot rhyme his horse with worse. Beard is not the same as herd. Chord is different from word. Cow is cow, but low is low. Shoe is never rhymed with foe. Think of hose, dose, and lose, and think of goose. And yet with choose. Think of comb, tomb, and bomb, doll and roll, or the home and some. Since pay is rhymed with say, why not paid with said, I pray? Think of blood, food, and good. Mould is not pronounced like could. Wherefore done, but gone, and loan. Is there any reason known? To sum it all, it seems to me, sound and letters don't agree. Okay, so if I were you, I'd pause the video there and then write down an explanation of what this poem is telling us. Right, I'm assuming that you've done that. Look, the giveaway is the final couplet. To sum it all, it seems to me, sounds and letters don't agree. So this is a poem that is investigating the strange mismatch in English between our sound system and our letter system. There seems to be a kind of strange mismatch between the two of them. Okay, so for example, let's look at that line there. Wherefore done but gone and loan. So each of those three monosyllabic pieces of lexis end in O-N-E. So logic says, well, they're all going to be pronounced with the same kind of vowel sound. But English being English, that's not the case. So you've got three different pronunciations of words that seem to be following the same kind of letter pattern. Okay, so there's something odd that's going on about English, and that is what we're going to be investigating under phonology. So let's just get our terms right. Phonology. Remember, a word with ology on the end means the study of. So biology is the study of life, and psychology is the study of the mind, and therefore phonology is not the study of your telephone. The phonology is the study of how the sounds of the language influence meaning. And that's important, that bit about meaning, because we're not just doing it randomly in order to label things, but we're really interested in the meanings. Okay, so how many sounds do you think that the English language has? Do you think it has maybe 15 or 26 or 50 or 100? So have a think, stop the video. How many sounds, by which I mean a, b, k, how many individual sounds do you think the language has? Right, I will tell you the answer to that question. Some of you might have thought 26 because there are 26 letters in the alphabet, but you have been sorely misled if that's the case, because there are actually 44 sounds in the English language. This is on the basis that you're speaking what's called received pronunciation, which is the kind of pronunciation that I'm doing now. So 44 sounds in the English language. And since we're being technical here, we're not going to call them sounds anymore. We're going to call them phonemes. So the word sound and the word phoneme are exactly synonymous. They mean exactly the same thing. Okay, so there are 44 phonemes in English. And of course, in terms of letters in English, there are 26. So there is a mismatch between the two. And the point is that, you know, you've got to go way back to the beginnings of people starting to write in our alphabet to try and figure this out. Because it was those Christian missionaries landing in the country in the early 7th century, in the Old English period, who brought with them a book. And the book was called the Bible, and the Bible happened to be written in the Latin alphabet. So they thought, wouldn't it be a good idea when we're writing English, this Germanic set of dialects, to actually write this down using the Roman alphabet? So the Roman alphabet at that time only had 23 letters, but there were probably not as many as 44. I think David Crystal says there's something like 35 sounds of Old English at the time. So from its very inception, there has been a bit of a mismatch between the number of phonemes that there are in the language and the number of graphemes that there are. Okay, so in order to represent the phonemes of English, we need the help of a vehicle, and this is the IPA. Now, that abbreviation stands for the International Phonetic Alphabet, and so this is a system for showing the different sounds of speech. And the idea is that you pick up your dictionary, you look up a word, and then next to the word in square brackets, you've got this odd kind of alphabet, you've got this odd lettering, and that's the use of the IPA, and that tells you how to pronounce the word. Okay, so we use the IPA, and it's going to be tremendously useful for you in this English language A-level for doing all sorts of things. So, for example, as next term we're going to be studying about accents and dialects, then it's going to be useful for you to represent the difference, let's say, between a Geordie accent and a Liverpool accent using the IPA. And it's also going to be useful when you're looking at children's language development. So, because in the exam you might well get a transcript where it's got bits of the IPA that's showing how a 2-year-old child is saying a certain word. Okay, so it's going to be a useful tool for you to be using the IPA. Okay, so English has some traps in it. We have homophones. There's a good term to remember. So these are words that are pronounced the same but have different meanings and may have different spellings. So the classic one, of course, is there and there. And you could also add in the other one, THEY''re as well. Whether and whether, here and here. There are literally hundreds of these homophones. Why don't you stop the video and write down 10 sets of homophones? Okay, I wonder if you've done that. And another term to give you are heterophones. So heterophones are words that have the same spelling but have different pronunciations and meanings. Take the word row and row. Same spelling, different pronunciation and meaning. Invalid, invalid, lead, led, heterophones. So homophones and heterophones, they're similar, and remember the definitions of those things. Okay, now we mentioned about the IPA, and I said there are 44 phonemes in English, and here they are in all their glory. See, what we can do with sounds is that we can differentiate between vowels, which are the grey bits on the top there, and consonants in the attractive yellow on the bottom. And so you'll see that in English we have 20 vowels and we have 24 consonants. In terms of the vowels, some of them are short vowels, some of them are long vowels, and some of these things called diphthongs, which is a fantastic word, you big diphthong. A diphthong are two elided vowel sounds put together. And then we've got the consonants down here. Okay, so in this session, we're going to dip a bit more into the IPA, getting you used to some of the symbols. And ultimately, by the end of the video, I hope you're starting to use the IPA. Right, so let's break it down to consonants. Please get the spelling of this word right. People always get it wrong and start writing constants or continents or incontinence, which is something completely different. Consonants are these sorts of things. So a lot of them are really, really straightforward to remember because they're basically the same as the conventional letter. So P, B, T, D, K, G, F, Th, Th, S, Z, Sh, J, H, Ch, J, M, N, Ng, L, R, W, U. Those are the 24 consonants of English. Okay. And let's break that down a little more into these different sounds groups. Now, don't be alarmed by this table. Don't freak out on it, because I know there are lots of technical words in here, but believe me, it's not as complicated as it looks. Okay, so here are the plosive sounds of English. So when I say plosive, I mean things like p, b, t, d, k, g. They are formed by doing little explosions of sound in your mouth. They're sometimes called stopped sounds as well. Okay, and they're quite fun to do, which means that when children are babbling for the first time, and let's say at the age of 6 months, they tend to do these plosive sounds like pa, pa, ba, ba, ba. And they're also quite fun to swear with as well, because quite a lot of naughty taboo lexis is actually stopped. They have stopped phonemes or plosive phonemes in them. These words here just denote where in the mouth these things are happening. You don't need to worry too much about some of these. I mean, it's useful to know one or two of them, but I wouldn't stress too much about these words. P and B is a bilabial plosive. Bilabial means using your two lips to make the sound. P, B. So it's a bilabial plosive. T and D, they are formed from a bit further back in the mouth, what's called the alveolar ridge, which is the top of your throat. T and D. And then even further back into your mouth, you're doing your velar plosive sounds. That's K and G. Okay, so for the time being, just learn the name plosive, stopped sounds, and it's quite useful to know that one about the bilabial plosives. We then have, let's jump on down to fricatives. Now, logically, fricatives are caused by some kind of friction in the mouth, where you're doing some fancy tricks with your mouth in order to stop the sound from coming out just directly. So, f and v are fricative sounds. Now, those are labiodental fricative sounds, and they're called that because f and v, what you're doing is you're resting your front two teeth on your bottom lips. So labio means lips, dental means teeth. So f and v are labiodental fricative phonemes. We then have these, which are quite unusual, really, because there's lots of languages in the world that don't have these. These are called dental fricatives. And this one, it goes like this, th, as in thigh or theatre. So it's a circle with a little line through the middle. And this one with a d, like a funny d with a hook across it, that's th, as in the definite article. Okay, so we represent both of those in terms of graphemes with th, but they're actually slightly different sounds. So th and th. So those are dental fricatives. And as you go further back in the mouth, we have these other ones. So we have s and z. Those are alveolar fricatives. We have sh and zh, which are post-alveolar fricatives. And then right at the back here, where you've got your glottal, as in your glottal stop. Like huh, like that, as in Gatwick Airport, like that. Huh. Actually, that's not a good example, Gatwick Airport. Huh. Right. Then you've got affricates, which are a kind of mixture of fricatives and plosives. So that's your ch, as in church, and your j, as in judge. Church, judge. So those are affricate consonants, affricate, post-alveolar plosives. The ones further down here, we have three sounds in English which are nasals. And what you're doing is you're pushing the sound through your nose, are you? Up your nose. So is a bilabial nasal, and is an alveolar nasal. And this one over here is called a velar nasal. So whenever you're talking, and if I'm talking in received pronunciation, that ing sound at the end of the word, that's a velar nasal. Okay. And we have some other ones here. You don't worry too much about the names of these. You've got l, which is a lateral, and then you've got w, r, and y. I mean, confusingly, what looks like a j is actually a y, and that's an approximant. So the key ones for you to remember are the terms plosive, fricative, affricate, and nasal, and to know maybe that some of the words are bilabial and some of them are labiodental and dental. These are your 24 consonants of English. Right, and if you were on my slideshow, then I would then be getting you to be watching an American tutor talking about these. That's really worth watching. Okay, I'm going to stop that because it's going to start playing. Next, English vowels. Right, so I said that there are 20 of these in English. We have your short vowels, we have your long vowels. So your short vowels are I, as in silly, E, as in head, A, as in dad, O, as in rotten, as in nut, U, as in soot, and as in about, that bit, or clever. One of the two things to say about that then, that one there with an A and an E put together, that's called the ash grapheme. That's been around for yonks. In Old English, when they were starting writing Old English in the 7th century, they were using that form. So that's an old Latin grapheme. This one here is called the schwa. The schwa is the most common phoneme in English. It turns up all over the place, right? So, and it's sort of spelt in all sorts of different ways with different vowels, as you can see here, because the about, that is a schwa. It's an unstressed sound. And clever, that sound there, that's also a schwa. So an upside down E is a schwa. Those are all the short vowels of English. We then have the long vowels. Easy to spot a long vowel in English because it's got a colon after it. So we have E as in seen. We have as in burn. We have R as in far. We have or as in corn. And we have oo as in glue. I don't know why it says booed there, because that's not a word. Booed. Ooh, as in glue. So you got your short vowels, you got your long vowels, but hang on, didn't I say there are 20 vowels in English? Yeah, well, diphthongs. So these are the elided vowels. This is where you get one vowel and you stick it next to another one, and it makes one phoneme. So I, as in spice, A, as in wait, oi, as in joy, O, as in note, ow, as in vow, or, as in poor, ear, as in deer, and hair, air, hair. Okay, so they're quite tricky. I mean, in a sense that the vowel phonemes are a bit more difficult than the consonant ones, and you only really know them through using them and practice. So that it's not something that you're necessarily going to learn immediately and be able to use. So you're going to have lots of opportunity during the course to be using these things. So don't worry too much if you feel a bit overwhelmed by the level of these. Okay, so why not try out writing some words using the IPA? This is quite good. So why don't you have a go at writing your own name with any embarrassing middle names included? Okay, and then once you've done that, why don't you have a go at naming 5 celebs, right? And don't tell anybody else who these celebrities are. And then you can show your work to somebody and try and get them to decipher it as if it's a secret code. So let me show you an example of 2 that I've prepared earlier. So this is my name. Right, I'm Paul Heselton. So conventionally that's spelled P-A-U-L and then Heselton, H-E-S-E-L-T-O-N. Paul Heselton. So this is how I do it using the IPA. So P, that's easy enough. And then that O sound. So that's a long vowel. And it's that one, as in call. Okay, so Paul. And then I've got the L on the end. And then we've got Heselton. So we've got H, which is over here. We've got which is easy enough because it's the same as the letter and then I spell it Heselton. But when I say it, I don't say Paul Heselton. I say Paul Heselton. So it's a Z. It's a Z. Heselton. Okay, and I go straight into the L and then the T. So Heselt. And then I spell Heselton with an O, but I don't say Heselton. I say Heselton. It's the schwa. It's that upside down E. It's the most common sound in English. There it is, Heselton. So that's my name. And you're going to have a go at spelling out your name in a minute. What about a celebrity? Let me give you an IPA celebrity and see if you can work it out. Right, there you are. Stop the video. Have a go. Right, who is this mystery person? Yes, you're right. It is Rihanna. So, so that's a long vowel because it's got a colon after it. This is misleading because it looks like a J, but it's not a J. It's in disguise. It's a Y in disguise. So, Ria, remember that's the vowel sound that I said is the ash that goes way back to Old English. Rihanna. Oh, it's the dreaded schwa again. Rihanna. Okay, so stop the video there and have a go at doing practice on those things. Right, I'm assuming that you've done that. So now, can you translate the utterances and comment on their linguistic features? So I'm going to give you some sentences that are written in IPA, and you've got to write down what they say, and then what does it tell us about the speaker? Like, where does that speaker come from, for example, in the country? Are you ready? And I'm not going to read them out aloud. So write down your translation of these 4 IPAs. And what does it tell us about where these people come from? Okay, so now we're going to go through the answers. So, what does that say? Come here, will ya? Okay, so it's highly informal. And what we've got here is not RP, which is received pronunciation, which is kind of pronunciation that is not linked with a particular area. So you have got the elision of the H phoneme in the initial position of that adverb there here. So come here. So it's telling you that this is a regional accent, and lots of regional accents drop individual sounds, don't they? So this is normal kind of elision. So it could be from north, saying come here, will you? But it could be from lots of other parts of the UK as well. Next one. Going to pub. Now this is definitely from Yorkshire, isn't it? Right, with the characteristic stopping of the definite article the into t, like that. So the elision of that particular sound. Going to pub, like that. What about this one? That's canny that lake. Right, so a bit of Geordie dialect for you there. Well, Geordie accent and dialect. So that's canny that lake. And I can tell it's Geordie dialect. Excuse me, the lights have gone off. Right, we're back on again. I'll put some money back in the meter. So canny, obviously a dialect form around in Newcastle, and also the use of that adverb at the end, like. That's canny that lake. So this is possibly from the northeast. And what about this one? Like you were saying in it, bruv. Like you were saying in it, bruv. Okay, so you might say that's characteristic of multicultural London English, which we'll be talking about in a later video. Okay, so hopefully you were able to identify those and say something about where you thought those speakers actually come from. Okay, right, that's all that we're going to do for the time being. That was a little introduction to phonology. In the next one, we're going to be thinking about things like sound iconicity and the clever tricks that speakers and writers get up to sort of manipulating their sound features in order to create certain effects. Okay, I hope that's been useful for you. Thank you.